The final goodbyes have begun for Pope Francis. Vatican residents and members of the papal household filed past his coffin in a guest house adjacent to the Vatican.
That was a private viewing. The Pope will be moved tomorrow to St. Peter's Basilica, where the public can pay respects before his funeral on Saturday.
Members of the College of Cardinals will meet next month behind the locked doors of the Sistine Chapel to choose a new pope, but they've already begun consulting one another. Seth Doane is in Rome tonight. Seth.
Cardinals are indeed coming from all over the world, of course, to mourn Pope Francis, but also really to start looking forward. And as you note, some of that work to select the next pope happens well before the conclave begins.
It was clear where they were going this morning. Cardinals in their red cap or zucchetto, conspicuous even on the streets of Rome. Today was the first in a series of secret meetings they'll hold, with the direction of the church at stake. We saw the opening prayer, but little else, only learning that Pope Francis's funeral was set for Saturday.
We are heading to meet the editorial director of the Vatican Department of Communications. All of the Vatican communications, radio, web, television, come through him.
During all his life and when I met him, I think that one idea of his life is to be normal.
Francis's desire for normalcy, Andrea Tornielli says, is reflected in his wish for a more simplified coffin, burial, and tomb.
Seeing those pictures of the Pope in his coffin, some of them seem quite raw. I wondered, is that something that he said, show it like it is?
For the faithful, it's important also to see the body of the Pope as the body of a relative that we loved. It's also a sign, I think, of our life and what's happening just after our death.
From tomorrow, the public will get a chance to pay respects to a pope who centered his ministry on themes of mercy, compassion, and peace.
His legacy is a church with open doors. Pope Francis didn't change doctrine, but change an attitude, especially to poor people, people who are suffering, immigrants, and so on.
If he didn't change doctrine but changed tone, does that last in the long term?
I think, yes, each reform starts in the heart of a man.
And Seth Doane joins us now. Seth, a lot of people have watched the movie Conclave, and that may be informing their view of the way this is going to happen. Set us straight. Is that the way it goes down?
Interestingly, John, that movie came up in the interview with that Vatican official, and he said, you really can't look at this through a political lens, or what he said were human categories. He said, what you should look at here is the time frame of all this, how remarkable it is in his case. He says to see cardinals coming from all over the world, different traditions, different languages, deciding on a pope in a relatively short time frame. Of course, some of that backroom dealing, that king-making, is happening in these meetings right now. He says, though, it is not like you see in the movies.
And Seth, because the Pope elevated 4/5 of the current voting cardinals, does that give us any kind of insight into how they may choose?
In short, no, Maurice. That is the real question. Pope Francis really tried to elevate cardinals from different parts of the world, unknown church leaders, and part of that is not knowing how they might vote. So that is the wild card.
Seth Doane for us in Rome. Thank you so much, Seth.
And among those at the private viewing of the Pope was our Nora O'Donnell.
We just came from paying our respects to Pope Francis. It was a very intimate moment inside his home at Casa Santa Marta. We were invited, and we were there with nuns, priests, and people who know the Holy Father well. It was a deeply moving and spiritual experience as we stood just feet away from the body of Pope Francis. It was silent inside except for the whisper of prayers. One little girl cried as she left, and some of the people who were there to say goodbye actually touched Pope Francis's open casket. We got this prayer card as we left. The emotion of it all, a reminder of just how much Pope Francis means to the faithful.